Let's jump into the individual stocks and start with Anheuser Busch Inbev, which is the world's largest brewing company.
Yeah, so we put this one at the top of the list because it's an international company in the same space. It's the largest by market capitalization. And remember, it's the combination of the Brazilian giant Inbev and then Anheuser Busch, the legendary manufacturer of Budweiser in America.
So this company markets and distributes a portfolio of approximately 200 beer brands. You've spoken a bit about the brands within the stable. And you mentioned that it was particularly in Latin America.
Yeah, look, the big three brands are Budweiser, as I mentioned, Stella Artois, which they bought when they bought InBev in Europe. And then the other one, in fact, is Corona, right? That's when they bought the Mexican thing, Grupo Modelo. And then Beck's, who's Germany's biggest beer, is also sort of right up there amongst their global
Market
brands.
cap here, $187.5 billion US, PE ratio of 21.7, dividend yield of 3.8. This is one you've always liked, Mia.
They are. I like them because they've offered exposure to especially growing economies like the States. And they're quite a strong player there. They double the size of SAB. But they've not always been, very, very reasonably priced. So again, I think when I have to compare that to SAB, it's difficult for me to decide where I actually want to have my exposure. But I kind of want to slant it more to the emerging market side. Again, Latin America is also growing, so it's an interesting company. All these companies are sort of priced at a level.
Would you have exposure to more than one?
Well, I'd prefer, there's actually another one in the international space that I prefer exposure to, and that's called Diageo, which was much more reasonably priced. Also great sort of brands, hard liquor in there, and I'd prefer that to Anheuser.
We're not talking about Diageo today, though.
I think we should, though. Let's put them on the list for next time, because they own Johnny Walker and all those sorts of brands globally, and lots of hardtack brands around the world.
And especially if it's Mia's favorite. We can't ignore that.
But to come back to ABN InBev, it's interesting because it's really dominated now the Brazilians. So Anheuser Busch was a big player in the US market, obviously, legendary company established in the Midwest. The Brazilians are incredible. So for better or for worse, Brazil is in a lot of trouble politically and economically at the moment, but you can't fault their corporate leaders.
I want to get the graph, the share price performance up onto screen.
So that's a solid-looking 5-year chart. Remember, markets globally have been fairly firm, and this one really benefiting from very low rates of capital funding. So they geared up to buy all these businesses and to pull off the acquisition, and that has worked well for them. Carlos Brito at the helm. He's one of, South America's most respected businessmen. The entire management team, it seems to me, looking at their website, are Brazilians.
Are we ready to call this one, Mia?
I think it's a hot company. They've got a margin of sort of around 20%, which is significant, the net margin, when you look at that. And it's a good company to hold in your portfolio. Probably won't be losing money when you have something like this in the portfolio.
Paul, hot or not?
Yeah, I've been thinking for a while whether or not this is one to add. We like these branded consumer goods companies. We like things like L'Oreal, we like Starbucks, Visa, Nike. So
because you back the consumer and the health of the consumer globally.
Exactly, particularly where you've got multi-territory exposure and you've got clever people and they're pushing brands. So I would say I'm going to go hot on this one too. Yeah.